What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be reviewing and breaking down The Flash Season 9, Episode 3. So guys, the episode starts with the Rogues robbing a tech company, which is when we actually see Murmur for the first time as well. We knew she was going to be in this episode. Now, also, we finally get to see Barry do a little bit more CSI work, which is always good to see. But anyways, with this CSI work, Barry and Iris discover that the Rogues stole a temporal scanner, which also makes them theorize that the Rogues are building a time machine. Now, they also do mention, I found it interesting in this episode, General Eiling from Season 1 of The Flash, which I thought, was just a cool name drop. So I thought I'd throw that in this review. They do seem to mention a lot of older characters, so that I think that's pretty cool that they're doing that. Anyways, Barry and Hartley then talk about stealing an engine, which is the last item that the Rogues apparently need to build this time machine. So they talk about them stealing that item before the Rogues steal it, and that's where these ex-Rogues come in. Chillblain, Goldface, the Hotness. They apparently need all their specific skills in order to take this engine successfully, so that the Rogues can't build a time machine, or as they like to put it, cosmic treadmill in this episode, which I think was a pretty good reference to that cosmic treadmill we saw in Season 7 with what Godspeed was using. Now, we also do get another look at the Red Death. This is probably the best lighting we've seen Red Death in so far, and the suit looks amazing, especially with the red lightning. But anyways, Barry and Hartley end up recruiting all these ex-Rogues, and then when they recruit Goldface, he of course refers to Barry as the chemist, like we all expected, which it's kind of funny. Now, obviously, with a bunch of former Rogues in the same room and trying to come up with a plan that works, they all start arguing and get mad at each other and show their selfishness, as they all say they want the engine for their own personal gain, and they have a big Rogue standoff, and I almost thought they were going to fight, but then they all decide to turn on Barry instead and go after the engine themselves, which I guess was pretty interesting. Now, we also hear Barry and Iris talk more about Iris getting pregnant with Nora. So yeah, it's always cool to get more future talk. I really like that aspect of this episode and the show. We also got a pretty big teaser in regard to Red Death, with Wayne Enterprises apparently being connected to the Rogues and the items that they're using to build their time machine, as obviously the theory that Red Death is an alternate Batwoman. So Team Flash is getting closer to figuring that out. Anyways, Barry meets back up with the ex-Rogues, and this time they're all on the same page, as it's also revealed that to Goldface that Barry is the Flash, which I thought was a really funny scene. So yeah, they execute their plan to disable the meta dampener so Barry can use his powers to steal the engine. But right as Barry steals the engine, the dampener comes back on, and Chillblain turns on Barry and the ex-Rogues because he wants the engine for himself to try and get Frost back. Now, I actually really like what they did with Mark, aka Chillblain, in this episode. They turn him into a rogue as he reveals to Barry that he's actually working with the new Rogues and Red Death. But at the same time as, Mark is facing off with Barry, the ex-Rogues are facing off with the new Rogues, and the new Rogues eventually win and steal the engine for Red Death's time machine. But then right as Barry and the ex-Rogues stand off with the new Rogues and are about to try and get back the engine, Red Death shows up and defeats Barry and the ex-Rogues. So finally we get, Red Death, Team Flash seeing Red Death. Now, Barry thought it was actually Reverse Flash at first because of all the red lightning, until Red Death comes right up to Barry, and Barry sees that, the chest part of Red Death's costume with the Batwoman logo and a lightning bolt struck through it. I thought that scene was actually pretty cool. Now, we do also find out that Red Death is using the negative speed force and was dampening Barry's positive speed, which basically confirms that Red Death is the new negative speed force avatar. Now, we find out that Ryan Wilder, aka Batwoman, has also been missing for the last few weeks as Red Death has surfaced. So was this always as simple as just Batwoman being chosen as the new avatar and being taken over by the negative speed force? Is that literally all that this is? Now, with all that being said, also at the end of the episode, Red Death reveals her identity, and obviously it's Ryan Wilder. But if Red Death is really just our Batwoman from Earth Prime, that doesn't explain how Batwoman could be fighting Red Death in these set photos we got a few weeks back. So this is really confusing. So they must still have Red Death being an alternate Batwoman, or maybe it's time travel related. Maybe this is, I don't know. This is very, very confusing. But yeah, I guess if it's a doppelganger situation, multiverse type thing, I think that would be what I would personally like to see. I don't know how they could pull that off now that we know all this new stuff about the Red Death. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they explain this. And also, if they will say Red Death's the new negative Speed Force avatar, what does that mean for all the stuff going on with the blue crystal? As obviously in the Season 8 cliffhanger, they were teasing the new negative Speed Force avatar with this blue crystal. So everyone thought that the blue crystal had something to do with the new negative Speed Force avatar, which now it's looking like that's really unlikely. So it's looking like the character associated with the blue crystal, most likely going to be Cobalt Blue, is not going to be the negative Speed Force avatar, but instead is just going to be a regular old villain. I think that's actually, I think I'd rather see Red Death as the negative Speed Force avatar, so I think that definitely makes sense. But yeah, that cliffhanger in Season 8 now doesn't make sense. So yeah, guys, just a few more things to go over. The first one is this episode actually wasn't half bad. I thought it was pretty good. There was a lot more Red Death stuff in it than I thought there would be, so that was definitely a plus. Also, you know, just the rogue stuff, I didn't actually think it was that bad. I thought it wouldn't be that good, but I actually kind of enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good for the most part. But then, you know, there's a couple of bad things still. You know, of course, the Allegra and Chester stuff, they just got to stop that. They just need to stop doing that. That is so annoying. And just the Keone stuff. I mean, I don't actually hate the character. I kind of like her. I think she's kind of funny, but the fact that she's a storyline in The Flash Season 9, the final season of The Flash, it just doesn't really make much sense. I mean, maybe in like Season 5 it would have worked because there's a lot of Frost drama going on in that season, but Season 9 is just completely unnecessary. They should have just kept Caitlin for this season. So those are the two main problems I have with the season so far, is the Allegra and Chester stuff and the Keone stuff. But yeah, nonetheless, I am now, you know, pretty excited about the Red Death stuff, as we're going to get into the two-part finale of the whole Red Death storyline, which I think is going to be really cool to see. And another thing I really hope we see with the Red Death stuff is a classic speedster battle, like a Flash versus Red Death speedster battle. I think that would be really cool to see. We really haven't seen that in a while, so that would be cool to see once again. But anyways, I'd say that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure to comment your thoughts on this video down below, as well as your thoughts on the episode. What did you guys think of it? What do you guys think about the Red Death stuff? Are you okay with it? Do you wish it was different? Just comment on your thoughts on that down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.